It's you. 1 second. Now activating chat mode. You made me jump there. I thought they'd finally caught me. Well, my heart rate did. Jumped up a little, I mean. Objectively speaking, the trouble was entirely of my own making. Half an hour ago, I was at Hotel de Boer for a drinks reception. It was to celebrate the successful opening of a show, but it was draining my energy. So, I waited for the right moment, then snuck away so I could switch to standby mode. Probably because I'm playing the lead role in the show? Is that so surprising? I'm always getting invitations to do solo performances. I just usually get Lynette to write back and turn them down. But then came the Fontanalia Film Festival. We took all the kids from the House of the Hearth out to see a film, and after it finished, they all started clamoring for me to try out acting for some reason. Even Lynette was chanting along with them. Anyway, it just so happened that a director called Mary who had sent me an invitation right around then. I'll spare you the details, but basically, I ended up accepting it. Yep, you nailed it. I'm playing the role of a puppet. In fact, the show's called The Lost Puppet, and it's a masked mime show. So, I don't have to do any facial expressions or say any lines. Literally just a series of physical movements. The director says it's a very avant-garde art form. Art is not comprehended by the mind, but felt in the heart. At least, that's what the director says. Anyway, if nothing else, the opening performance seemed to go down well. At the drinks reception, everyone was crowding around me, saying, "Triumphant character portrayal, faithful adaptation of the original work, unequivocally, quintessentially avant-garde," and stuff like that. But being the center of attention is draining. So the moment they left me to go harass the director instead, I was out of there. The other thing is, some weird things happened while I was on the stage. Oh, sorry, Bonnie. I didn't mean to leave you out of the conversation. My bad. No, we just met. We bumped into each other right after I slipped away. Well, it'd be kind of difficult for us to communicate otherwise. Besides, I think she's taken a liking to the name, haven't you? Yeah, that's right. Good kitty. We'll go find your owner soon, I promise. Nope. She's wearing a collar, and for the most part, she's pretty well groomed. If she is a stray, she hasn't been for long. Her stomach's been growling a lot. I guess she must have been missing for a few days now. As much as I'd love to hang out with her for a while longer, her owner's probably worried sick about it. But the reception... I should probably show my face there again at some point, even if it's just to make... Well, I just find it exhausting, thinking through all the different ramifications of different choices and so on. That's more Lenny's area than mine. So it's fine. He got Ferminate to make me a little something for just this situation. Poof! A phaetometer. It looks pretty over the top, I know, but it's essentially just a box of cards. He kept the design simple, so it'd be harder to break. The way it works is, I pick a card at random, then look at the number on the card. Well, for example, if the number on the card is 5 or higher, I help Bonnie find her owner. If it's less than 5, I go back to the reception. I just have to believe in the bond between me and my cards, and my fate will reveal itself to me in numerical form. At least, that's what Linny said. Anyway, I guess I'll give you a... Huh, I didn't like that. Was I using it wrong? Clearly, there's some design flaws to iron out. I'll have to let Fremine know. Let's see... Which card did I get? 4. Well, the cards fell on the ground though, so I don't think it counts as fate. If you want to get the right answer, you have to let fate decide. Also something Linny said. So, to put it another way, if picking a card up off the ground is how to not leave it to fate, then that means it must be the wrong answer. Or... Why don't you pick a card? Since I ran into you here, that means... our fates are, like, interfering with each other. Thank you. This one is final. Here, take the fateometer. If it's 5 or above, that means fate successfully changed. Anything lower than 5 is a fail. Also, if you have your own thoughts about what I should do, feel free to share it. Now that I've got a good problem solver here to help, I don't need to run every little thing by fate. All right. So, we're looking for Bonnie's owner? There's 20 cards in total, numbered 1 to 20. I should also mention, this time the cutoff was 5, but I just said that to put it in perspective. I said...
It's been 2 whole days! Surely Hu Tao must have finished her work by now. Let's go to the funeral parlor and check.
Every stupendous day starts with a steambird. Oh.
Yep. If there's no commission to follow up on...
Why, of course.
Well, we've registered you as missing. Also, I just wanted to say... thanks. Well, I should probably head... If you've got some time, you should stop by my place tomorrow to see Bonnie. There's a nice cup of tea in it for you. All right.
I believe this cat belongs to me.
I already told you, this isn't your cat.
Just take a breather, you two. Oh, you're here. As you can probably see, you'll have to—
This is my friend's cat. He's preoccupied with some important business, so I came to retrieve her in his stead.
No, it's far more likely this cat escaped from the Humane Society. Bonnie?
That's the name I've given her in the meantime. Well, this complicates things.
I told you.
Listen, I'm the director of the Humane Society, okay? We've got so many strays, dogs, cats. She just looked somewhat familiar, so I came to check. If she turns out to be one of ours, we're an organization that specializes in rescuing and sheltering stray animals. We've been in—
The Humane Society. Huh. The name sounds familiar. I remember hearing good—
Yes, that's the one. Anyway, if it turns out I really am mistaken, I suppose—
It belongs to my friend.
Go on, Bonnie.
Oh, nope. Looks like I was— Well, I suppose this means I still have a missing cat to search for.
Wait a second. You lied earlier, didn't you?
Lied? I'm afraid I don't know what you mean.
A liar always has a tell. The look in their eyes, their breathing pattern, the way they hold themselves. The things that can give you away are often more numerous than you would think.
What are you talking about? The way I see it, you're conflating baseless conjecture with fact.
Normally, when someone is called out, their breathing speeds up as they begin to panic. But your breathing pattern hasn't changed one bit. In fact, it's been strangely calm and measured this entire time. It stands to reason, then, that your agitated behavior earlier was all an act. If you're a bad guy, I'm sure you'll take off running the first chance you get. If you're a good guy, the most likely explanation is that you're a member of the guards, or some similar—
And you're basing this off of?
Intuition. Nothing more.
Intuition. Well, you're right. I'm a member of the guards. The name's Elodie. I'm currently investigating a cross-border smuggling case. This cat here, Bonnie was her name? Well, her owner is one of the prime suspects of our investigation. A couple of days ago, our suspect got wind that we were on his tail and fled. That's most likely how he got separated from the cat. I just so happened to stumble upon your notice in the Steambird. So, I decided to see if he'd come back for her. But it looks like I overestimated him. The impact of this case has been huge. The Marechaussee Phantom, the guards, and the Special Patrol— a new kind of illegal drug. Imitation synth. We confiscated all the synth on the market, but addiction isn't something that goes away overnight. Even without substances on the market, people are still looking for a way to get their next fix. And criminals are all too eager to capitalize on that addiction. That was the impetus for Imitation Synth. After the original synth debacle, we put several measures into place to prevent similar incidents from occurring. The perpetrators got smart, though, and shifted their sales overseas before those measures could kick in. That's when the Imitation Synth smuggling began. We only recently got word of the presence of Imitation Synth overseas. We managed to track down evidence of some early transactions. What we were able to find out, however, hasn't proven that useful given the Marechaussee Phantom launched an investigation to track down every person in Fontaine capable of producing a drug like that. That's how we learned about Bonnie's owner. He's a researcher at the Fontaine Research Institute. His name is Pierre.
Lefebvre.
The Marechaussee Phantom found him in Poisson. In addition to the cat, he also had a pendant with him. At first, there wasn't much cause for suspicion. It was only later that we realized the coat of arms on his pendant belonged to... Obviously, this discovery prompted a further investigation into Pierre. At that point, however, we discovered...
That's not possible, actually. The Lefebvre family has been gone for a long time.
Exactly. Many years ago, several important members of the family, including the patriarch, were murdered by an assassin of unknown origin. From that point on, the family's power and influence took quite the hit. The family is engaged in all manner of crimes. As you can imagine, there's no shortage of people waiting in the wings to take their revenge. And with the family severely weakened, they were able to do just that. Most of the remaining family members succumbed to sickness or hunger. Pierre is one of those very survivors. He's been hiding away in the Fontaine Research Institute all these years. His true identity unbeknownst to all. Until now. Well, my fellow guards have told me all about how smart and courageous you both are. There could be a chance that Pierre, or one of his accomplices, might attempt to get close to Bonnie. Now that you've been briefed on the situation, I was hoping you'd help us keep a lookout. If I take Bonnie back to the guards with me, there's no way Pierre will try and come for her. Not even the most daring of criminals would attempt something like that. I have to admit, I'm not holding out too much hope that Pierre will come back for her. But if there's even the slightest chance, then it's worth a shot. Well, I've got some other leads to follow up on. Please contact me.
It's nothing. I'm fine. It's just... the head of the Lefebvre family. He was the eminent person who kidnapped me all those years ago. It was at a dinner party. Someone tricked me into boarding the Lefebvre family carriage. Whoever it was, they took me back to their home. But before anything worse could happen, Father intervened. Yep. Father was the one who orchestrated the fall of the Lefevre family. That's what led Lenny and I to join the House of the Hearth. After all these years, I never thought I'd hear the Lefevre. Don't worry about me. I wasn't feeling sorry for myself. I was just thinking about Lenny. He's been acting strange recently. He avoids me for days on end, consumes himself with some secret investigation, and then thinking about it now, it's almost like the one I drew from that deck of cards was part of his plan all along. He must have asked Fremine to help him out. In any case, I know he's hiding something from me. It's very possible. I'm sure he tried to send me away because he was afraid it would bring up some painful memories for me. It was even after all these years, he's still as overprotective as ever. You'll have to help me teach him a lesson if we run into him along the way. Yep. I want to head to the Fontaine Research Institute to learn more information about Pierre. Just let me activate search mode and then we'll head out. Who knows? Maybe we'll run into Lenny along the way. A little bit of both, perhaps. For the most part, though, I just have the sense that something's not right. Something isn't adding up about Pierre's story. I'm just not sure what. Okay, I'll write a letter explaining everything to the crew. Once that's done, we can head out.
Lynette, you're, not...
You can drop the act, brother. In fact, I don't think either of us will have a need for acting anytime soon. You should know better than to try and keep something from me. You've never been able to do that.
And that's why I tried to distract you with the masked mime show. But I guess you're just too good.
Care to introduce us to your new assistant?
This is Officer Shovras, captain of the Special Security and Surveillance Patrol. You may have met her already.
Nice to see you. I should clarify something. Mr. Lenny's here at my invitation, not the other way around. To borrow your expression, Miss Lynette, I suppose that would make him my assistant more than anything. We've brought on Mr. Lenny as a consultant in the past. He was instrumental in helping us crack a case involving a perpetrator who used magic tricks to commit crimes. I was hoping he'd be able to provide some valuable insight this time.
So you've...
That's exactly why we're here. There's always been questions surrounding the fall of the Lefevre family. Some people even believe the House of the Hearth was involved. Whoever was behind it all was extremely cautious. They didn't leave a shred of evidence. This very fact, however, leads me to believe it was indeed the work of that harbinger. I took a look at the entrance and exit records of all the carriages that night. Let's just say it wasn't hard to deduce that there's ill will between you two. Don't worry, I don't have any evidence to that effect, and I certainly don't plan on going to bat for such a despicable family. Plus, you were victims back then more than anything. I sought Mr. Linney's help with the smuggling case. Nothing more. The way I look at it, it's a collaboration between us as people, not the organizations we represent. Besides, by working together, we can expose the truth as quickly as possible. You can hardly say that's at odds with the justice my organization strives for. Not at all. I was planning to invite you from the very beginning, Miss Lynette. It's just that my assistant here raised some objections.
Linny, I'm not the same person I was back then. That little girl who did nothing but cower in the corner in fear, she doesn't need saving anymore.
I'm sorry, Lynette. You're right. I let my concerns get the better of me.
Oh, and the next time you want to distract me, you should try a different approach.
Who's this? You pick up a stray while I was gone?
It's a bit complicated. I'll explain later.
Well, if there are no objections, then I suppose the only thing left to say is... Lynette? Traveler? Well...
It appears the Lefebvre family was very particular in the family would use different emblems to mark differences in status, blood relation, and the like. In fact, the insignia that was discovered on the pendant was used to represent an illegitimate child.
It's highly likely. That very status might have been what allowed him to emerge from the fall of his family relatively unscathed. It would also explain why he was able to assume a new identity as a researcher with relative ease.
We discovered something interesting, though. After talking to some of his co-workers, it appears he pretty much works at the Institute in name only.
Apparently, Pierre was once addicted to synth. He tried to use the resources at the Institute to create a substance with a similar effect. He claimed it was just for research purposes, but the Institute revoked his access to the relevant materials regardless. He was placed on disciplinary leave, pending a thorough investigation, but it seems the Institute ran into some trouble along the way. Could have been a lack of personnel or a timing issue. In any case, they had to table their formal investigation into Pierre. Unfortunately, that also included reporting any relevant information. As for his family background, it appears none of his co-workers at the Institute were aware of that information. All they could tell us was that he was quite the recluse. Other than the pendant, we didn't find anything else of note at his residence, based on the samples of imitation synth we've been able to analyze. It appears the substance leaves behind strong traces wherever it's produced or stored. Those traces might not be obvious to the casual observer, but they're not something our guard poodles would miss. Pierre's home, though, came up completely clean. We didn't find any records indicating possible involvement in overseas transactions either. So, the Marechaussee Phantom didn't view him as a major suspect at first.
Maybe he had a separate, dedicated area where he made the imitation synth.
Well, his neighbors did say he was often gone for long stretches of time. You would think with him out and about so much, if his reclusive nature was just a matter of keeping a low profile, I guess it would make sense for him to have a secret base to carry out his business.
After he disappeared, the guards conducted a thorough search of Poisson, but they did...
Poisson. You know Hotel de Boer, where I first found Bonnie? To get there from Poisson, you have to cross a stretch of ocean. It's not somewhere a cat could just wander off on its own.
A cat? You mean...
Bonnie is Pierre's cat.
Oh, that's right! When the Marechaussee Phantom first tracked him down, I remember there being something about a cat in their report. So this is—
From what we've learned about Pierre's habits, he doesn't seem like the type to venture out without a purpose. So what you're saying, Lynette, is that Bonnie couldn't have gone missing in Poisson. If that's true, then...
Exactly. Bonnie might even know where it is.
Wait, you think the cat can lead us there? But she's not trained like one of our guard poodles. How is she supposed to understand what we want her to do?
Ugh, guess she's a little skittish around strangers. Meow. Near the coast, the beach, and beneath the cliffs. The place—
Well, I've certainly never taken a witness statement like this before.
Well, if it works out, maybe it's something we're...
Cats and humans are actually pretty alike. When it comes to communication, most of what we want to convey can be accomplished through body language alone. But humans tend to rely too much on speech to ever take advantage of that fact. Of course, body language has its limitations. You're not going to be able to get across anything.
The important thing is that we now have a lead. Let's try and find a place that matches the clues Bonnie gave us.
It's not so much the rain that bothers me, but the mud.
Seems like Bonnie is trying to take us somewhere. Gardemex ahead.
Look out!
Rally! Advance!
Grab some cover. Scatter! Next customer.
Let's roll! Oh, coming through! Ha! 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 Ha!
Wow, Lynette, you found this place so easily. If I thought there was any chance you'd say yes, I'd recruit you into the Special Patrol here and now. No questions asked.
Sounds familiar. I pretty much receive letters daily from people trying to poach her from me.
Let's just focus on our search. There's a lot to investigate.
Aha! Just as we thought. Looks like he's got more than just imitation synths. These cleaning agents are like the Special Patrol. It must have taken a considerable— But what are these other drugs?
The material these bags... It's the very same, actually. Even the strings looks... I came across some bags made of this... Very similar, actually. But what could these big bags...
When the Marechaussee Phantom searched Pierre's house, there was no sign of these barrels, right? You're right. That doesn't seem like... Only the lower halves of the barrels are...
Based on the various ingredients we've found, it looks like he used a special cleaning agent.
So then he transferred the...
No. I don't believe our suspect is the kind... The cleaning agent and the sealed bags might get past the guard poodles.
The barrels we found were wet around the base, but the top half was dry. If you put a barrel in the water, it will normally float on its side.
Yes. With flotation rings around the body of the barrels, they'd stay upright in the water.
You think he used floating barrels?
But then, wouldn't the barrels be carried off by the waves or the currents? How would the person doing the pickup know where to look?
Traveler, can you come take a dip in the sea with me? I have a feeling that somewhere down there, we might find some rope.